Oi oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, this is Doodle Review. If you're new around here, I review albums on the daily and usually they got something to do with alternative rock. If that's your vibe, mate, subscribe. We've got a ton more stuff coming your way on bands I bet you're probably going to be interested in, so get involved, bro. Today we're talking about Health. That's Health with an F if you're British. Health are an LA-based noise rock industrial band, a three-piece well known for their long list of collaborations and video game soundtracks like Cyberpunk 2020 and Max Payne 3, as well as their now quite deep catalogue of original albums. Rat Wars, released at the tail end of last year, is actually the band's 7th full-length LP in their roughly 15-16 year career. And this is an interesting band for me because I've always found there to be a real dissonance between their aesthetic, which I love, and the music, which hasn't always hit the mark for me. I'm a massive die-hard fan of Nine Inch Nails, and so that's where I get the love of that kind of mechanical yet organic decay that adorns a lot of their covers and their visual presentation. It's also, of course, where I get the love for pounding angular guitars clashing with sequencers, drum machines and noise. So with those things in mind, Health should be right up my Strasser, and yet, I don't know, just doesn't really hit. Some of this might be down to the fact that over the years, every time I've checked in on their projects, I always pick up on what sounds like what I'll call too much of a fan's enthusiasm for the genre they're creating in and the influences they're paying homage to. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, my feeling on the music always stays the same, which is that at its best it can feel quite derivative and at worst a bit corny, a bit hokey. And Rat Wars actually starts with this straight out the gate with the track Demigods. It honestly sounds like one of those TikTok accounts that does the whole what if X artist wrote X song. In this case, it's what if Nine Inch Nails wrote the Terminator 2 soundtrack. It's kind of cool, but for me, stuff like this feels less like I'm listening to an album and more like I am surfing kind of various bits of music content online. With that being said though, after this first track, the album does become its own thing. I don't know whether it's because there has genuinely been a progression in the songwriting or if after a decade and a half of immersion, Health just are this sound now. But more than any other album I've experienced from the group, from the track Future of Hell onwards, Rat Wars feels like a vision that is more authentically them than I've ever heard before. And it delivers a lot of fun moments. Among what is a fairly stylistically varied track listing are the tracks Hateful and DSMV, both of which really lean into that late 90s industrial crossover with techno music. You got chugging guitars, 4 on the floor beats and occasional flashes of arpeggiated sequence synth bass, and these elements kept prompting a visual in my mind that I couldn't shake, and it was the nightclub suite sequence in the original Blade movie, which actually prompted me to go back and watch the film, which I was at that point disappointed to find that the music in that sequence doesn't get anywhere near as hard, but it would fit perfectly if only Health were around back in 1998, eh? I mean, judging by the influences of the group, I imagine each member has probably said those very words several times. But one thing that's never been in question on any of their records is Health's capabilities on the production front. Songs like Sicko and Ashamed perfectly balance all of the elements, from the deep digital bass that has this kind of vacuum quality, kind of shrinking and expanding and attaching to each digital kick, to the samples, the vocals, and then finally the massive guitar sounds that to me recall the huge extrapolated, distorted and shredded tones from the many Mr. Self-Destruct remixes on Nine Inch Nails' Further Down the Spiral project. The only aspect of the production I struggle with, and this is a personal preference, but when those perfectly crafted guitar sounds do come in, occasionally it sounds like the band opt to sample and trigger these chords to give a perfectly rigid and solid chord strike on every chug or on every hit. And I totally get the aesthetic choice of this. It really leans into the Rammstein of it all, but personally I prefer it when there's just a hint of organic looseness in the playing. DSMV and the intro of Children of Sorrow have this, but tracks like Crack Metal opt for a triggered approach instead. Occasionally on some of the gnarlier tracks I'm left wanting with an edgier lead vocal, but I will say Jake Duzik's melodic vocals on songs like the second half of Demigods or Ashamed sound great. So look, if you're a Health fan or deep into the world of industrial noise rock, this album probably did the business for you, but for me it's definitely my favourite thing Health have done to this point, even though certain aspects still turn me off a little or leave me wanting more, I'd give this about a 6.2. But right, time for me to knock it on the head. What did you think? Let me know what you think down there in the comments. Look out for some other related videos in the description you might like. Down below this here floating head. Subscribe, share some thoughts, show some love, or just some abuse in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, mate. Bye.